In 1 Samuel chapter 22, in verses 1 to 5, it says, David therefore departed thence, and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And when his brethren in all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him. And everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was discontented, gathered themselves unto him. And he became a captain over them. And there were with him about 400 men. And David went thence to Mizpah of Moab. And he said unto the king of Moab, Let my father and my mother, I pray thee, come forth, and be with you, till I know what God will do for me. And he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the while that David was in the hold. And the prophet Gad said unto David, Abide not in the hold, depart, and get thee into the land of Judah. Then David departed, and came into the forest of Hereth. Uncertain and afraid, David flees from King Saul's presence. The decision for David to leave Jerusalem was a difficult decision for him to make. However, David was prepared mentally to make the decision. But what made David leave Jerusalem so abruptly? Let's set the scene. King Saul is jealous of David for a myriad of reasons. David's been anointed by the prophet Samuel to be king, and David's rise to stardom begins after killing Goliath. But regardless of his newfound fame, David's loyalty toward God and King Saul is unwavering. It takes numerous attempts of murder undergone by King Saul toward David, and Jonathan, Saul's son, divulging to David Saul's plot to kill David in order to make him king, in spite of being anointed king by the prophet Samuel, before David decides that it's time for him to leave Jerusalem. How much would you take before you leave a toxic relationship or a bad environment? In Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 4, it states, Wrath is cruel, and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? As noble as your intentions are invisible and don't matter to someone who's envious of you. Through the Word of God and life experiences, God expounds on the differences between intention and reality. The sad reality is that many of our relationships may consist of family and friends with bad intentions, but cloaked with acts of love. And as egregious as that may sound, God teaches us through the Word how common it occurs. In 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1, it says, Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 1, it says, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. And lastly, John chapter 15, verse 20 says, Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also.